All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful weekend. We got a very interesting week ahead as we have a couple of big events, but now as we are only a few weeks into the election, we are wrapping up a lot of the major data. We will be getting the start of earnings season with a lot more banks, technology, consumer stocks, and pretty much everything. And then we have to talk about China, as that was a big topic last week, and unfortunately it looks like what happened over Saturday is gonna have a negative effect. So we have a lot to go over. I got the plays, I have the keys. What I need from you, a thumbs up on the video, make sure you're subscribed, and if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday 30 minutes before open, youtube.com/the stock market. We will see you there in the morning, baby. Run it.
Working to the couch, it's the 2020 election. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a live, but I still reinvest it. Feel how I feel, then it feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but the sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down.
Right off the bat, I want to start with key number 2 because, like I said, there is a lot of things going on and you will be able to choose your focus. But China and what we expected this weekend, this was a really big deal. I was telling you guys last week, if you wanted to make a play on it, there was going to be this meeting on Saturday, and people were expecting to hear more stimulus and a lot more numbers, and depending on how that was going to play out, that would determine how China stocks play out. Remember, the last couple of weeks with China, it has been very volatile, both on the up and down, and everybody has been getting excited. It's literally a whole new narrative to follow all around the world. It's not just AI, it's not just rate cuts. This idea of, hey, there's now a deal in China and maybe it's coming back. This narrative has been drawing a lot of attention. So there's been a lot of eyes. There's been a lot of volatility. Like I told you, it will be very jumpy. But what happened here over the weekend, they came out, had this meeting on Saturday, and sadly, it seems like the weekend meeting was a disappointment. Why? Because they talked about stimulus and talked about what they were going to do, but everybody wanted a dollar amount. Remember on Friday, we were talking about like $283 billion. Everybody wanted to hear a number related to the stimulus, and at this meeting, they did not give a number, and that's where some people were disappointed. However, the meeting minister, what was it? It's Minister Lan Fo, and he's the guy who was doing all of this, but he said that they plan on announcing a lot more things in the future. So we'll see how this is going to play out coming into it. I'm sure the futures, and even as we wake up tomorrow, it will probably be a disappointment with China. I think the better way to describe it will probably be volatility, a lot of back and forth, but now you're going to have people taking another week of no fresh China stimulus. Everyone's going to doubt it and then start waiting for that, and then maybe we'll hear more promises that'll either reignite or kill any sort of China rally. So I think this is going to be something huge to watch because we don't have that many things going on both this week and into the future. So this will be a big one, and China will be releasing data along with everybody else. Like I said up here, there's going to be a lot of CPIs, France, the UK, and I do think we are going to be getting data out of China. Other than that, as far as domestic data, we will be getting a lot of different things, but like I said, if it's not CPI, it's not jobs, and Powell and the Fed, and everybody's already decided these data sets should not be changing too much. So retail sales, this will be the most important piece of data this week. If you remember, a couple weeks ago, we paid a lot of attention to it because people were looking for signals. So don't forget, we did just get a little bit higher of core, and people are worried about inflation going up. Just go look at the bonds. So if we do get retail sales showing something, or even Empire Manufacturing with inflation, you will get a reaction, but quite frankly, I don't think it is going to change anything major. So watch out for all of that. There will be a lot to juggle, but even coming into tomorrow, I am sure right off of the bat, you will be getting some impact from China. So we'll be watching that. And now getting into the first key, which even though I started on something else, I really want to make sure you guys get this. We brought this up on the live watch list last week, and just do not forget, moving forward, election and earnings are pretty much your only catalyst from here on out. I don't even think I got to make any crazy videos. I don't even think you need to stress yourself out. Don't underestimate this, because this will be all we have left, but now it should be a pretty easy focus. And why I'm saying that, because no matter what happens, even retail sales, empire manufacturing, unless there is truly a black swan either on the geopolitical war front or financially somebody goes bust ahead of elections or these earnings, then nothing should really change the narrative that the market is following along. Right now, the only new thing added to the narrative, it is emerging markets, and it is China and how this is going to play out, especially with our rate policy going in a certain direction. So keep your eyes out for that. It's going to be very simple to follow the next 2 weeks, but up until the election now, all you're really going to be getting is earnings. So watch out for that. The only other thing I will say, even though it will be earnings and not that much data, the market did start talking about this whole idea of no rate cuts in November. Fed Bostic brought that up last week. You might watch people introduce that. Right now, the odds for no rate cut in November, it's standing at 25%. It wasn't like that a week and a half ago or right after the Fed. So this will be a new dynamic. This could get the markets moving. And quite frankly, all you got to watch out for, do the bonds go up past 4.25, 4.5 on the 10-year, and then do equities react? For now, you have the stocks doing one thing, so are the bonds, but it's not causing anything upset just yet. So, oh, that rhymed. We'll watch out for that, but that's the first and major key. Keep your eyes out for that. Like I said, we will get retail sales and hear a lot of things around the world. And now the final key, I think this is very important. I don't usually do this. I kind of bring this up into the plays, but I want you to see the list. This is now like the start of earnings. The unofficial start was last week with JP Morgan and a couple of the banks, and you did see a big reaction. But now this week, you are going to be getting everything from airlines, shipping companies, chips, materials, technology, credit cards, and consumer staples. Every single day, starting from Tuesday, you are going to hear a little bit about the economy. There already has been some slower reports, but they're not some of these big companies. Again, United Airlines, JB Hunt, ASML, TSM, Netflix, Procter & Gamble, Alcoa. You're going to get a lot. I said American Express, Ally. These are big companies that will tell you a little bit about the economy. So like I said, if the data is kind of weird or you're like, oh, it's political and all these different things going on, look into these companies' performance and any major guide up or guide downs. That could also add to the story of how the economy is looking. So I would watch out for that, and I think there's going to be a lot of plays. And then pretty much after this earnings season, you guys, that's it. It's going to be the final stretch until the election, and then after that too, this will be the final set of data for the end of the year. The seasonality turns bullish, even though the market really ignored a lot of the negative seasonality this year. But all in all, this is the final stretch of the year. This will be the last earnings setting up into it with the election and rate policy. So we should get a lot of info, and I hope you're ready. But now, let us get into the plays. So, right off the bat, I do hope you are ready for all of the earnings. We will talk about them here. And again, if you haven't seen the pricing video, I've included it in the description for all of these watch lists. So make sure you know how to price in earnings, because there's a science behind this, and you will not be caught off guard if you know what the option chain is telling you. But to start off with my first play, though, this surprisingly is not going to be an earnings play. We did very good on Uber last week, and I did decide to make a Tesla. We'll go over that in a second, but I just think there's going to be a lot of good follow-through from the dynamic last week. This whole Tesla robo-taxi, and then they announced stuff. It was good, and then people are like, no, because you had analysts. Some analysts loved it. Some analysts hate it. It caused a big reaction. Uber and Lyft were able to rally off of it. We got a nice 1,000%er on that contract. All of that ended up working. I just think you're going to probably hear a little bit more about that coming into earnings, and then considering how fresh it was. And there was some crazy news. You see that Elon rocket ship? That was crazy. So I don't know if that'll have any impact, but watch out for that. I do have plays on both of those. We'll go over those in a second. Then play number 2, it's a lot. So I want you all prepared. That's why we have the watch list. This is why I go over this info. And even then, whether you're watching it live or not, man, I don't want you to fall behind. Out of that chart above, you could go and look at all of the other earnings there, and we will still go over the previews. I'm just not going to tell you my plays, but for real, man, go watch the pricing video. You'll learn how to hit these, baby. And hit me with a thank you. Hit me with a like, man. But watch all of these names. names for earnings: Morgan Stanley, Alcoa, Discover, TSM, Netflix, ISRG, Procter & Gamble, and American Express. I'm not giving you any guarantee on these, but I would make sure I took a glance at all of these, both what their pricing, 2 standard deviations, go look at their chart. If you feel a certain way or industry trends, these are big names. These will have important guidance, and some of these can move. Some of them, like ISRG, that's a huge mover, but then some quarters it won't move at all. Procter & Gamble moves barely anything, but we did hit like a 900%er a couple of quarters ago because it did break out. We hit a couple of AXPs. TSM, I'm already in them, and then DFS, again, like AXP, they're kind of related, and they've been going through buyouts and all of that. So all of these companies got something going on, big names. Hopefully you know all about them, but these are the names I would be watching at next week. And then remember, after this week, it's only going to get more and more and more. So you could even start thinking about sympathies if you want. Just make sure you know the pricing, and the earlier you go on any earnings plays, there's always going to be that risk. It's not guaranteed. That's kind of the fun, the gamble about it. That's what makes some of these earnings plays either really good or not, because if you play early, even the day before or a couple days before, it could either give you a huge home run or you'll be far off. That's usually what happens to my JP Morgans. That's why I said I was worried about it, but those ended up working out. So we'll see how all those play out, but definitely keep your eye on all of these for earnings. That is number 2. And then finally, I'm also going broad here again. Watch emerging markets. So I have it here, India to Mexico, even like Japan. Look at EWW, that's Mexico. EWJ, INDA for India. But here's the deal, man. China is going to shift, and I do think you're going to have a lot of the crackheads debate about, oh, well, how much are they going to do? What's this going to be? But like the fact of the matter was, this is what, what's his name? Morgan Stanley's Michael Wilson, he was talking about that they set up a lending program for people to borrow money to buy stocks, citizens in China. That was one of the measures they announced a couple of weeks ago. They're probably going to be serious about the stimulus moving forward. My theory is just wait till they start cooking up the data, and then you'll get something we call green shoots, and then those will start going crazy, and then that'll all pick up. So, like I said, 8 months on China, but what I really want you to understand, this is an election play right now. One, China is going to move a lot of things. Even then, if China starts taking off, that might hurt Japan a little bit. It's going to change a little bit of the competition that's been going on over the last couple of years, but now also with the election, depending on who wins, how those odds move in and out, I do think this could have an effect on some of these foreign names. And go look at them all. They're all pinned. Mexico, India, even Japan, they have not really moved in a while, and it kind of seems like everybody's waiting for the election because then we'll know where the dollar is going to go. And then, too, once we even see where China's going to go, that will set the shift, and those could be some big macro global tectonic plates that really start moving things. So make sure you watch out for all of it. Don't sleep on it. And if you do want to prepare for the election, think some of these foreign plays and at least be aware of them. So that is the final play. As far as everything else, the plays I made on Friday, we had a good day. We had that Uber call, and bro, I was surprised. I'm glad if you guys were on the watch list, again, even if you were live or if you got the stream alerts, you got them right away. But the fact of the matter was, everybody was talking Tesla, robo-taxi, and I told you guys from like Sunday, Monday, I said, let's go for Uber, because back in the day, everybody used to always mention Uber and the Tesla, and I'm just surprised they didn't, and I realized a lot of people didn't because those Uber contracts were cheap. We bought them for 50 cents. Remember, I played both ways. I put $200 total both ways, $100 on calls, $100 on puts. Then Tesla, since they started going down and they had that, people were doubting how long it would take, aka a delay on competition for Uber. Uber rallied and went crazy, and I think it's now even getting ready for earnings. But those contracts, the 81 calls, they went to 243. So I sold one in the morning. It paid for both the puts and both the calls, got all my money back plus $43. And then the final one, it rocketed up to $5, 50 cents to $5, 1,000%er. I sold that, and then I rolled over. And this is something I was talking about a lot on Friday. I've been taking some of these plays. Like I said, the moment they're free, I don't want any risk on speculation. Again, look at the bonds. The bonds are telling you people are uncertain about the short term. I'm very confident about the long term. That's why we're fully invested and got that. But short term, you do got to be mindful of the speculation. So I am playing very cheap options. The moment I can make them free, I'm doing that. So I have no risk. I get all my money back. And then the other part, if I really want to keep playing the same thing and going in it, if I already made a big amount like this Uber, so I spent $200, I pull back in $743. That pays for everything. And then I go and grab November 105 calls, and then I bought them. It's like 42 to 50 bucks. It was a weird fill, but it's like 120 to $150. So make sure I'm getting paid, make sure I'm not risking more than what I started with, and then I still got a little bit riding out with time. So that's what I'm holding now. We'll see how that plays out. And then another one in the morning, they actually went up like 30%. I just had a good purchase, but Tesla, I grabbed the October 18th 245s. They were at that price right before the event. They were going for like $4 on these contracts. They came down to 81. I said, I'm going to grab two, and pretty much I think they're going to bounce at least 1 point. I do think people were a little over dramatic considering some of the new narrative that Tesla bought. And remember, I don't own Tesla for the long term. This is literally my only exposure that I have to it. So I said, hey, I'll flip it for a little bit. I am worried about the time, though. That's the only thing I don't like, but we'll see how those play out coming into tomorrow. And then JP Morgan, remember I told you I went big on the earnings plays, and I was worried because I was like, man, it never works out, but it finally worked out. So the JP Morgan, these were like 700, 800%. Remember, I already made it free leading into the earnings. The contract went up 200%. So I got all my money back for both ways. And then this thing popped up after the good earnings on Friday. I sold out for like $300. And then I bought it again. This one, little time, October 18th, I grabbed two of the 230 calls for 30 cents. So got my 300. We also got the other 200. And I think I put in $200 to begin with, or like a little bit more than that. And then I spent $60 on the rollover. And then the final play, bro, those dailies. So again, I took a break on them, but I did take the over. I did think the market was going to move a little bit more considering it wasn't pricing in so much on Thursday, Friday. And I got in the money and the play worked. There was one moment I called it out. I even sent out a stream alert and I said, hey guys, look at right now, those dailies, they are just a little bit above break even. You can get a little bit of a gain, pay for the puts as well. So we spent $200. You could have got a little bit more back, but it was either you gamble and they went crazy after that and you got dollar for dollar, or they expired worthless. And I held it. I knew the timing there, but it ended up backfiring. I went for the extra chicken. Then I ended up with no dinner. But that was fun. I'm learning from the pricing on there. Remember, I haven't traded these in a minute, but the prices and the standard deviations and what that chain is telling you, it still even applies in these situations, but it's a lot more money and whoop, gone very, very quickly. So other than that, though, I think we're going to have an exciting week of a lot of earnings plays, or maybe we just manage some of the other ones we got. We'll see where China is here tonight, and then we'll all get prepared and get ready for the final weeks into the election. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure hydrate healthy, ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. And I need you to remember, go take a bite of food, man, every day. Go wake up go to bed after being tired. Just be appreciative. Enjoy the life that you have, man. Don't take things for granted. And when you have that gratitude, it's easier to plant, my friend. And remember, the farmer never plants if he waits for perfection, baby. Get that long term. Stay hydrated. Stay healthy. I'll see you in the morning and horn.